welcome back to the Conspiracy Couple podcast. I'm Marisa.
And I'm Ethan.
Today we have another very interesting episode for you guys. But before we get started, as always, make sure you're following us on our social media. If you're not watching us here on YouTube, we have a YouTube. It is Conspiracy Couple Podcast. And, Subscribe. Like, comment, subscribe. Turn on post notifications.
Share.
Get
us up to 50 subscribers.
50 subs. 50 subs.
Small goal, but attainable.
Yes, it's,
very attainable.
Very attainable, I think. It's only approximately double what we have right now. So
if we get to 50 subscribers by 2023, we will keep posting.
Were we going to do that anyways?
Don't tell them that.
Oh, okay. Well, we aren't gonna post on YouTube if we don't get to 50. We also have an Instagram that is Conspiracy Couple. It's where we post updates on the show, from when we drop new episodes, where we post pictures of ourselves and our cats. So, if you like cats, or you like updates, or you like adding followers or following people that you follow on your Instagram, Conspiracy Couple. I'm not going to mention Twitter because we don't use Twitter. No one uses Twitter.
I didn't even hear you say that website.
Okay, no.
To me, that website doesn't even exist.
Does not exist.
That's a conspiracy.
Does Twitter exist? Or do we just not have any followers? That's the conspiracy. Anyways, another big thing. So I went into some looking at our analytics. And we have hit over 10,000 downloads.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's very exciting. Thank you for everyone who has listened and who has shared. And we just want to thank you and encourage you guys to keep doing that. And our goal for this our next goal is 25,000. So I think we can do it.
Yeah.
Any housekeeping updates?
Nope.
I don't have any either.
Those were a review on Spotify or Apple. Yes.
Or send me a DM.
Or do both.
Or, yeah, that's it. So, without any further ado, unless you have any...
I have nothing.
Okay,
I already told you I had nothing.
Well, I mean, maybe you thought of something else. I don't know. Maybe you thought of something in the time that I said, do you have something? Do you have something when I asked you the second time?
I got nothing.
Okay, he's got nothing still. All right. So, this week on the podcast, we get to discuss one of my very favorite topics, which is cryptids.
Aha.
Yes.
This is what? Fourth one?
Fifth, I think.
Fifth cryptid?
Bigfoot.
Loch Ness Monster. Mothman.
Chupacabra. Now this. Okay.
Numero 5.
If you know anything about me, or if you've listened to this podcast and our cryptids episodes, you know that I really love cryptids, and I really want to believe that they exist. I want to believe that most of them exist.
You're an animal lover. That's what you are.
I'm an animal lover, yes. Yeah. I'm
animals
types.
Of all
animals of all
creeds
types.
And origins and sizes.
Except for some of those cryptids that are like the big snakes, then I'm like, I actually don't want those ones to exist.
Fair.
I actually think that the ones that we have are too much. The ones that we currently know about are a lot.
Fair.
But I'm someone who loves cryptids. I want to believe in cryptids. I love just like all of the lore. So we are going to be talking about another cryptid. And if you don't know what a cryptid is, essentially it's an animal that's not considered to exist using the traditional scientific method.
Basically a modern myth.
Modern myth, kind of. Or it's kind of more like a paranormal animal, or something that would fall into like the unexplainable category. So it's just an animal that science can't explain, essentially. So for this episode, we are going to be discussing the Jersey Devil.
Ooh.
Yes.
Scary.
Ethan, as always, do you know anything about the Jersey Devil?
Was the Jersey Devil in like one of the first episodes of X-Files?
I don't know if it was one of the first episodes, but it is in an episode of X-Files.
Because I feel like I watched that one with you.
I don't remember that. I don't remember what episode the Jersey Devil was in, but... What episode? I spelled that wrong.
What episode of X-Files?
I spelled episode wrong.
Jersey Devil.
Season 1, episode 5. Okay, so
I'm pretty sure I watched that episode.
I guess we did watch it together then.
That's all I know.
Anyways, okay. That's all you know is that it was in an episode of X-Files.
I'm going to make an assumption here.
Okay.
I'm assuming it lives in New Jersey.
Yes. Yes. So, like many of the other cryptids that I have discussed and will probably discuss in the future, I was actually introduced to this on an episode of Lost Tapes. I think that this was like one of the first episodes of Lost Tapes that I watched. And I might be confusing this one with another episode, but I remember watching this episode with my sister, and Jacqueline, if you're listening, you can correct me if this was a different cryptid. So in this episode, they're like all supposed to look like found footage, right? And they're recreations. But this woman is in the forest with her family, and she's super pregnant.
Why?
Why is she pregnant?
No, why is she in the forest while pregnant?
I don't know. She was like, she has other kids, and they were going on a road trip or something, and they got stopped. They got lost. So they are like looking through the forest for whatever reason, and they run into the Jersey Devil, and basically they like run and hide in this little shack thing, this little cabin, and the Jersey Devil comes into the cabin, and it looks literally like a goat that's standing on its hind legs, and the woman gets so scared she goes into labor.
Seems fair, honestly.
Yeah, but she literally goes into labor, and then like they have to figure out how to get her away from the Jersey Devil back to the car into the hospital so she can have her baby and not have the Jersey Devil be the midwife.
What if the Jersey Devil is a really capable midwife, and that's why the Jersey Devil showed up?
The Jersey Devil doesn't even have hands. I don't think that it would be a capable midwife.
Who says you need hands to be a capable midwife?
Modern medicine. Anyways, so if it wasn't obvious, the birthplace of the Jersey Devil legend is in New Jersey. However, the creature has apparently been seen in Pennsylvania, New York, and Delaware. And contrary to what you may think, the Jersey Devil is not and does not refer to any of the present or past cast members of the Real Housewives of New Jersey.
Okay.
Were you thinking that?
No.
Were you thinking it was Danielle Staub?
I don't know who that is.
She was on the Real Housewives of New Jersey. She was unhinged. If you guys have ever watched that, just think of the moment where Teresa flips the table and says engaged 19 times. That's what was like the image that was coming to my head when I was hearing this. Anyways, I'm going to move on. Because I've been on a Real Housewives of New Jersey kick lately, so maybe that's the only time I'll mention it.
I think you probably are the only one that was thinking that.
We'll see.
I guess.
So if someone else was thinking of that moment, let me know. Specifically, the Jersey Devil is said to be from an area in southeastern New Jersey called the Pine Barrens, which is a very sparsely populated forest area that spans more than 1 million acres. So an interesting thing is that New Jersey is actually the most densely populated state in the country, but it's one of the smallest states in the country.
Yeah, everybody wants to be near New York, but not in New York.
Right, I guess. But New York is very densely populated too, or Manhattan is at least.
Yeah. I don't know.
Were you gonna ask where something was?
No. I was, but no.
You changed your mind?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was just... No.
Well, you have to say it now.
It's fine.
Okay.
Another time.
Okay. So, the origin story of the Jersey Devil has a few variations, but for the most part, a similar theme. So, I'm going to try to be as comprehensive as I can with the story, but just note that I'll say, like, some stories say this, some stories say this. So, we're just going to try and, like, get into it. Okay. First thing we need to do, get in our time machines, go back in time to the year 1735. And we are going to a place called Leeds Point, which is where and when the most popular origin story takes place. It was a dark and stormy night with a thunderstorm brewing, while a Quaker woman was in the midst of giving birth.
Feels like how every story starts back then.
A dark and stormy night, and a Quaker is giving birth. So this woman has come to be known as Mother Leeds. Her real name is kind of iffy, but we're just going to call her Mother Leeds. And her family lived in a cabin in the area and was described by those around them as being very unusual people. So she was a poor woman, and she may or may not have been a witch. And she is said to have already had 12 children at the time she was giving birth to her 13th.
Oh my.
And 12 children, we always think like back in that time period, people just had like a lot of kids. 12 children was a huge family for that time. And it wouldn't have been common that a woman would be having 13 kids.
I feel like
with the infant mortality rate.
Infant mortality and also the like death rate of the mothers giving birth was really high at that point, right?
So it was
to have 12 kids and still be going, oof.
Yeah, so it was very unusual. So
that was before epidurals were a thing.
It is. So some stories will say that when she found out she was pregnant with her 13th child, she was so distressed because she did not want to have another child. Her husband was apparently a drunkard, and he couldn't provide for the kids they already had.
Weren't Quakers like not? Well,
so this is why they're weird. They're like not usual Quakers.
They were like the black sheep of the Quakers.
They were the black sheep of the Quakers. They were not like normal. Like when you think of a Quaker, it wasn't Mother Leeds.
Right.
So apparently her husband's a drunkard and he can't provide for their 12 kids, and she finds out she's pregnant with her 13th kid, and she says something to the effect of, "Let this one be the devil."
Ooh.
So that's what some people say, that she said that when she found out she was pregnant. Now, other people believe that her labor was really difficult, and that during her labor she shouted, "Let it be the devil," which later came true.
I just feel like it's not a great phrase to say ever.
No.
I would never want that.
I wouldn't want that, but she was going through it. Mother Leeds was going through it.
I guess so.
Yeah. So some variations in the legend say that when she said this, it led to her child being cursed. While others say the child was born already deformed. And still others say that the child was born totally normal, and that it was a baby with blonde hair and blue eyes, and that over time the baby started to change. And so it seems as though while all the midwives are there, all 12 of her other children are there, the baby starts to change and the eyes start to turn to a black color. It develops a longer body, wings grow out of its shoulders, and its head begins to look more horse-like with horns, and it grows a tail and hooves.
How is this not a horror movie? Like that? How has a horror movie not been made about this?
There have been movies made about it.
Oh.
Yeah. So upon...
Not good ones, apparently.
So we have two versions of what happens next. So first is that after the transformation, she's just watching this baby change in horror. She has all of the midwives, her husband, her kids are all around her. They're all seeing this, and that the baby somehow escapes either by killing the midwives and all of the siblings, or by just flies out of the chimney and it escapes. Others say that when she saw this, she locked the baby up, hid it from the world, until eventually it escaped into the woods. Another variation of the story states that Mother Leeds was a witch, and that the father of the Jersey Devil, she claimed, was the devil himself.
Oh.
I do think that it's really interesting that there are so many versions of the origin story, of even just this one, because there are other stories that they think this is what happened.
It definitely just sounds like a classic, like, folktale or something.
Yeah, but I mean, it just kind of goes to like the oral tradition of stories being passed down. Things change over time.
Yeah.
Like the details of, okay, did the baby was it born like this, or did it turn into this, or who was there? When did she say this? Like that kind of stuff sounds like something that would change as you tell it through generations. So the question is, did Mother Leeds even exist? Like, was there a woman named Mother Leeds?
Probably not.
So some sources say yes, she did, and that she could have been So Leeds was a very common last name among the settlers in that area.
Right.
So some say that she could have been a woman named Deborah Leeds, who was the mother of 12 children, and they confirm that she has 12 children because those were listed in her husband's will. Other sources say that...
What about the 13th?
The 13th is the Jersey Devil and it escaped.
It's not in the will?
Would you put the Jersey Devil in your will?
Yes.
We have a child, it becomes like a monster that flies out of our chimney.
Sometimes Nova's pretty crazy. I would still put her in my will.
Nova hasn't killed anyone to escape from our chimney yet, Ethan.
Yet.
We don't have a chimney, so I think we're okay. But
and she can't fly.
Do you really think that back then?
No, probably
that they would have put what would they put? A Jersey Devil in the will?
Well, whatever his name was, Mike. Jersey Mike.
It's Jersey Mike.
The Jersey Devil escaped and made a sandwich shop.
A very lucrative business. Others said that it was a completely different woman, but it was still a woman with the last name Leeds. But that she did exist and that she became demonized due to a really bad relationship between her family and the Quakers in the village they lived in.
I feel like what probably actually happened was, whether it was this Deborah Leeds or some other Leeds lady, she had 12 kids. The 13th, she had like a miscarriage or something, or the baby was stillborn. So she got depressed, and the family kind of like hid her and hid all the information, so everybody just started making things up, which is usually how these kind of things start. And then it became folklore.
Okay. Interesting take. Okay.
That's usually what ends up happening. Especially back then when so little was known about like child health or stuff like that, and everybody was accused of being a witch and all that jazz.
Well, we were going to get into that point a little bit later, but I mean, I guess since you brought it up, we can talk about it now. That some people think that maybe like what is one of the explanations for what the Jersey Devil could be? That
we don't have to get into it now. We can keep going with your plan. I apologize for being so smart. Well,
we could just say this. I just had one bullet point.
Okay.
So, potentially, like you said, there is not a lot of knowledge about, infant health, maternal health, postpartum, all those kinds of things. So, some people think maybe the child there's a kid that was born, but it was born with some kind of birth defect. And
there's lots of stories of those kind of kids being hidden.
Yeah, and whether it was born with some sort of chromosomal abnormality or some other visible birth defect.
Like a tail. Maybe they was born with a tail.
I mean, maybe.
That's the thing that happens.
Maybe.
Sometimes.
And so they didn't have any knowledge of that kind of thing. And so we also had a very superstitious group of people.
It's true.
Who, if a child is born not normal, mom's a witch.
Yeah.
So it could have been.
Or they probably hid the child because they're like, oh, we don't want
anyone to look at it weird and make fun of it. Or they could think that they were cursed or the baby was cursed if it wasn't born normal.
Potentially.
Normal in quotation marks.
Potentially, yeah. Anyway, I'll stop being so smart and you can go through your plan the way you want to. Okay,
thank you, Ethan. I'm going to scroll back up. But yeah, that's an interesting point. Maybe it was just a baby who didn't fit the normal at the time.
Right.
And some scholars say that this Mother Leeds woman probably didn't exist, and that she was more of a legend that was born out of the religious views of the time and the superstitions of the time.
Yeah.
And so there's kind of some debate as, was there ever a Mother Leeds or was there not? So it kind of is up for debate. Another origin story involves this forbidden romance between a young woman from Leeds Point who fell in love with a British soldier. So, okay, if you remember, America was not independent until 1767. So in 1735, we could have, or around this time, this is before the Revolutionary War. So this woman falls in love with this British soldier. Well, then when the Revolutionary War breaks out, the townspeople are like, heck no. They curse this girl for her act of treason. And
how dare she?
The curse results in the birth of what came to be known the Leeds Devil or the Jersey Devil. So the creature does have different names. So it originally was Leeds Devil. Then it was Jersey Devil. It has also been called Wazzlebug, Hoodle Doodle Bird, Or the Jabberwock.
Oh, the Jabberwocky?
No, Jabberwock.
Jabberwock. Is the Jabberwocky something else?
I think so.
Oh.
My favorite is Hoodle Doodle Bird.
How are you supposed to say that, like, oh my gosh, it's the Hoodle Doodle Bird?
Kids, you better come inside before the Hoodle Doodle Bird gets you.
How are you going to be scared of something named Hoodle Doodle Bird?
I don't know. I mean, if it had horns, I'd probably still be scared of it. Kids, you better hurry up or else the Wazzlebug is going to get you.
Apparently Jabberwocky is a poem by Lewis Carroll.
Anyways.
Oh, it is about the Jabberwock, though. Jabberwocky is a nonsense poem written by Lewis Carroll about the killing of a creature named the Jabberwock.
This is Jabberwock.
Jabberwock?
Yeah.
Oh.
So the legend of the Jersey Devil, Leeds Devil, has been part of local folklore in the area since the 18th century. So I was watching a History Channel video on this, MonsterQuest, and they were saying, one of the scholars, he works at Rutgers in New Jersey, and he said that for a lot of people in New Jersey, it's not like a legend, like it just is real, and they all just think it's part of their history of their area.
Are you sure it's Jabberwock? Because I'm not finding anything.
Would you like to see my sources?
Kind of.
I'll show you my sources at the end of this. So what do witnesses say that the Jersey Devil looks like? We've talked about his origins. We've talked about how he may or may not have been born from Mother Leeds, who may or may not have been a witch, or who may or may not have existed, and he may or may not have been the child of a Revolutionary era forbidden romance.
A Romeo and Juliet.
If you will.
If you
will.
If you must.
So what do witnesses say that the Jersey Devil looks like? So witness descriptions are kind of varied, but the most common description is an animal that stands upright on its hind legs with a body and head like a horse, bat-like wings, a serpent-like tail, and hooves like a goat. So some people say that it's about 6 feet tall. Some people say it's between 3 and 4 feet tall.
If you're watching on YouTube, I'll put a picture right here. If you're not watching on YouTube, go to YouTube and it'll be right
Or
here.
we'll just post a picture on Instagram too.
We probably will, but I also just want to make sure that there's a picture on the YouTube.
Okay. So other reports say that it's a hairy animal that walks on all 4 legs as opposed to being bipedal, and it looks like a mix of a monkey and a dog. Some people say it looks like a kangaroo, looks like a gargoyle. Apparently it is able to fly extremely quickly and it makes a high-pitched screaming noise. But unfortunately, as far as we know, we do not have any real photographic or video evidence of the Jersey Devil. So we can't just be like, there's a picture of the Jersey Devil, this is what it looks like. So
even though that's exactly what I'm going to do.
That's exactly what we're going to do.
So this is what the Jersey Devil looks like.
This is what the Jersey Devil looks like. So what exactly does the Jersey Devil do?
Just hangs out and is a midwife.
He's a midwife. So he's been blamed for a number of things over the years, including killing local livestock and pets.
Fairly or unfairly.
Cattle, causing a drought, causing crops to die or fail to produce. Some say that he appears every 7 years, or that he comes to warn people of coming disaster or war. So that kind of sounds like Mothman.
That does.
Yeah, like people said that Mothman was the harbinger of doom, and he would show up when there was about to be a catastrophe. And some say that the devil has more positive motives, that he just kind of, he's a midwife. He's a midwife.
He's just hanging out.
Yeah, he hangs out. He lives in the forest. He's a midwife. Yeah. He, helps people with, like, their crops and stuff. So he's either destroying crops or he's helping with crops, or he's a midwife.
Yeah, makes sense to me.
So the interesting thing is that there are a lot of notable people who have claimed to see him over the years, with many of them considered to be extremely reliable sources, such as ministers, police officers, and members of public office. And in many of these stories, it's not just one person who claimed to see him, but their stories are also corroborated by additional witnesses. So one of the most interesting people who claimed to have seen the devil was actually Napoleon Bonaparte's brother Joseph, who was the king of Spain for a time. And
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So he claimed that he saw the devil while hunting in New Jersey. And he was, like, very firm that he saw the Jersey Devil.
Interesting.
So we're going to go through some of the sightings now and historically some of the notable events. So there was actually a group of hunters who set out to capture the animal after a huge number of livestock deaths in 1840. However, they were unable to capture him, and the deaths continued into 1841. So there was a huge amount of livestock that were killed. And in 1909, there was a huge panic in the area as a result of hundreds of Jersey Devil sightings and supposed attacks that ultimately led to the Philadelphia Zoo offering a reward for anyone who caught the animal. They were unsuccessful. But the panic was apparently so severe that children were kept home from school, people were staying home from work, and hiding in their homes for fear of the monster. And all of the mills were closed in the area because the employees refused to walk through the woods to go to the mills to work because they were afraid of the Jersey Devil.
Okay.
Yeah. Hundreds of sightings. And in 1925, someone reportedly shot what they believed was a Jersey Devil, and after showing photos of the body to over 100 people, none of them were able to identify what the animal was. So in 1960, there was a $10,000 reward offered.
How long does this animal live? Is it just one?
I don't know. He's lived a long time. For anyone who could capture the creature, and they stated that they would be able to house the animal in a private zoo once it was caught.
Like a zoo just for it?
Just for it.
So you go, you pay money, and there's just one animal.
There's just the Jersey Devil.
It's like a lame zoo.
You know, currently, the reward is still open. Nobody's caught it and claimed their reward
yet. So we
yet.
could go to Jersey and find it?
Potentially.
And get paid $10,000?
$10,000 if we catch it. We'd have to catch it. We can't just look at it.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Conspiracy couple on the road.
Coming to a town near you. If you live in New Jersey.
Near
New Jersey.
Yeah. Well, somewhere. Do we have to go to the whole state?
We would just go to the Pine Barrens.
Okay, if you live near the Pine Barrens, we'll see you tomorrow.
We're busy tomorrow.
They don't know that. If we're kind of funny, they just... What if someone goes? If you live in Jersey, go find it.
Go find it.
And also let us know you live in Jersey and you listen to us. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah. Oh, and if you live in Jersey, let us know if you saw him or have seen the Jersey Devil.
Just assuming it's a male.
I'm just going to continue to say he.
The Jersey Devil could be a woman.
I'm just going
It's just an animal.
I'm just going to keep saying he. It.
It.
Okay. So in the past 20 years, there have apparently been more than 200 sightings of the Jersey Devil. So residents of the Pine Barrens and around the Pine Barrens report this really eerie feeling that pervades the area pretty much all the time. As if there's something creepy living in the area. My thing is, if I was living in my house and there was this eerie feeling constantly, I would move. No way. No way.
That's like logic, horror movie logic, when the family's like, oh my gosh, we think the house is haunted. Well, good night.
Well, good night.
Let's just keep going to bed, even though all these creepy things are happening.
Good night. I'm just like too scared. I'm scared of everything. I'm scared all the time. Our house is very safe, and I'm still scared. Stop it. Anyways, so I have an interesting story from someone who claims to have seen the Jersey Devil. So in January 2004, a woman from the area was outside of her home with her son, turning off her Christmas lights after dark. When the two of them looked up and saw a huge black winged animal that was sitting in a tree near them and looking down at them. So they were scared, of course, and they turned to run back into their house. And as they're running, the animal swoops down as if it's going to attack them, and it flies after them as they make it into the house and shut the door. So they said that they then heard the sound of an animal walking on the roof, making a clacking sound, similar to how hooves sound when they walk across a hard surface. So when she wakes up in the morning, her husband saw that there were these perfectly preserved footprints in the snow on the roof.
Were they hooves?
They were hooves, but they weren't able to identify what they belonged to.
Maybe it was Santa and his reindeer.
Maybe.
Santa's the Jersey Devil.
So her husband takes pictures of the prints, shows them to a friend who's an avid hunter, and the friend doesn't know what the animal these belong to. So the two of them then show these to a wildlife expert in the area. And the wildlife expert also can't identify what the prints are from. So the wife called the police, and they came out to investigate. And the police officer stated that the prints likely belonged to a large animal that was between 200 to 400 pounds, but said they did not know what the animal actually was.
So this is 200 to 400 pounds and also able to get on the roof.
Yeah.
And walk perfectly without...
Apparently.
Huh.
Yes.
And hooves, typically aren't great on roofs because they can't cling to anything.
The thing is, the animal has wings.
Well, I'm just talking about the hooves.
Okay,
I'm just talking about the hooves.
You're right. The hooves have no grip, really.
Hooves, zero grip on hooves.
Zero grip on hooves. So, of course, with notable sightings, we have notable hoaxes. So, after all of the sightings in 1909, remember the panic, a man decided to capitalize on the sightings and staged a hoax.
Classic.
How did he do this? He painted a kangaroo green and attached fake wings to it, and then he showcased it to the public.
Did anyone ever say it was green?
No, I don't know. I have not heard that the Jersey Devil is green.
Well,
yeah, well, he paints the kangaroo green and he attaches fake wings to it.
Did people buy it?
Not really. Well, some people did, and then he's like, no, it was a hoax. When the green paint started chipping off.
This can't be good.
Wings fall off.
It can't be good for the kangaroo to be painted green. It's probably really unhealthy.
I would imagine not. The wings fall off, and he's like, oh, oops. Oops. So what are some of the explanations as to what the Jersey Devil could be? One is a great horned owl. So, you know what an owl looks like, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, a great horned owl has...
I've seen the one that looks to the center of the Tootsie Pop. I've seen real life ones, too.
You're like, I've also seen real ones. So, the great horned
hold
owl...
on. You're saying the Tootsie Pop owl isn't real?
No, it's a cartoon.
So it doesn't mean it's not real.
Ethan, it's a cartoon.
That doesn't mean it's not real.
If you've seen that owl, if I asked you, have you seen an owl, and you said yes, I've seen one in the Tootsie Roll commercial, I wouldn't say you have seen an owl. You have seen a commercial with a cartoon owl.
Still real.
No, it's not. Also, do you remember when 2014 when owl jewelry was the thing?
No.
Okay, well my sister had a lot of owl jewelry.
I didn't really.
Do you still have any of it, Jacqueline? Let me know.
I didn't really do jewelry in 2014.
No, it was the thing. Owls.
I was in middle school.
No, you weren't.
8th. No, you're right. I was not. I was in high school. I was in 11th grade.
Okay, thank you. I was like...
It's kind of weird talking about high school.
I was like, I graduated in 2013 from high school, so you weren't in 8th grade in 2014.
Yeah, no, I was not. I was in 11th grade.
Thank you. Okay. So, a great horned owl has these ear tufts that could look like horns.
Yep, makes sense.
The eyes shine red.
They're pretty big, too.
Yes, they have a wingspan of up to 5 feet.
That's why they're called
And they are the largest owl.
That's why they're so great.
Or they're just great individuals. They're great to hang out with.
Have you ever hung out with one?
No, I'm scared of birds.
Owls, are different than birds.
I'm, not scared of owls from a distance. But if an owl swooped at me, I would probably cry.
Yeah.
If it screeched at me and then swooped, I would start crying.
I'd buy that.
Yeah.
That's believable.
If a crow flies over my head, I get nervous. I really don't like birds. They're very scary. But I like birds of prey. I don't know what it is. They're just...
Those are the ones that are actually a threat.
Yeah, I know. I like those ones the best. But crows and pigeons really scare me.
What are they going to do?
Peck my eyes out. Poop on me.
And a bird of prey is not going to do that?
I don't know.
A bird of prey is... Anyway.
I've watched the Alfred Hitchcock movie, The Birds.
You have?
Yeah.
It scared you?
It really did. My friend Charlotte, cried when she watched it.
Anyway, tell me more about this great horned owl.
So, the great horned owl is most active in the winter, which is when most of the Jersey Devil sightings occur.
Yeah.
And when they are threatened, what they do is they kind of lean back and they make a clicking sound with their beaks. So it's kind of like they will lean back and click, 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 and they'll click at the people whatever they're afraid of. And that could be similar to the clacking sound one of the witnesses heard.
Yeah, but that doesn't explain the hooves.
Right. It doesn't explain the hooves. And this animal doesn't have a tail, which is what a lot of witness descriptions say. Another explanation is something called the hammerhead bat.
What?
It's super creepy. So, while Ethan's looking that up, you should also put that on the screen.
I will.
But this is a species of bat that's native to Africa. But there is, of course, the possibility that somehow the animal made its way over to America in some way.
That's weird looking.
Isn't it weird looking?
Kind of looks like Saboba from Star Wars.
I do not like that animal.
That's very weird looking. I'm going to put up a picture of this. I'm also going to put up a picture of Saboba. And so
Can you look up Saboba?
I will show you Saboba. Hold on. Let me save this picture.
That one doesn't have a great picture of its head.
Yeah, it does.
I kind of like it more from the side.
Okay, well, I'll get 2 pictures.
It's very creepy, so if you're afraid of bats, like I am, then trigger warning.
Trigger warning.
I'm actually afraid of a lot of flying animals.
I'm going to do like this one.
No. Yeah, ooh.
There's its head.
It's so creepy.
So now its head's on the screen.
I just am now realizing that I'm scared of a lot of winged animals.
Its nose looks really weird. This is a very interesting looking bat. How big is this bat?
Okay, we're getting there. So, this is, like I said, it's native to Africa. But you have to say that there is room.
Saboba, not Saboba. Kind of looks like Saboba. Saboba. Hold on.
Bit.
Kind of. Hold on. Look at this.
Okay, we'll let the viewers decide. But one thing like that the video I was watching made mention of was that around this time we still had the slave trade going on, and it wouldn't have been unlikely, or I mean it's possible that this bat gets into the boat, makes its way to America. We have heard of animals getting to places that are not native to, where they're not native to.
It's possible.
It's totally possible. But I feel like if there was a whole new species of bat living in New Jersey, someone would know.
Probably.
Like, they can't just hang out there. Like, because eventually they would breed, and there'd be more of them, and there'd be more of them, and all of a sudden we have a lot of hammerhead bats. I mean, that's just...
Maybe they only brought one.
They brought one. Anyways, so this is the largest bat in Africa, and it can have a wingspan of up to 3 feet.
All right.
So that's pretty big for a bat.
Decently big.
If I saw a bat that size, I would pass out.
So remember when my dad was telling you about the 4-foot bat?
I do not want to hear about that again. I do not want to hear about that again. We had a bat get into our house.
It was like this big though.
It was bigger than that. Bigger than that.
No, it wasn't.
It was like as big as my fist.
You weren't here.
I saw the picture.
But I was actually here. It was very small.
We had a bat get into our house.
Our old apartment.
It was so traumatic for me. I started crying.
And she wasn't even here.
I was at work and I started crying.
I was the one that was dealing with it.
Everyone at work made fun of me because I said, literally 1 week before this, I didn't know that bats were native to Central Washington.
Yeah.
I've never seen one. I thought that was something that only existed in, like, the South or in, like, Africa. And my coworkers all laughed at me and were like, "You've never seen a bat?" And I was like, "No."
Then one of them put a bat in our apartment.
Yeah. I bet it was Matt. No, I'm just kidding.
Matt the bat?
Matt put the bat in our apartment.
Anyway.
But they all laughed at me because I said I had never seen a bat before. And they said, "No, you definitely have seen a bat. When you see birds flying at night, those aren't birds, those are bats." And then I started looking. Every time I would go on a walk, I would look for bats.
Anyway.
And then a bat showed up in our apartment.
A tiny bat. Anyway.
It was very scary. It was very traumatic. I thought our cats were going to get rabies.
Anyways.
The hammerhead bat. Yes. So it's known to attack chickens, and the Jersey Devil apparently has eaten and attacked chickens. And this bat does have a long lifespan of up to 30 years. It's pretty long.
That is a long time.
It's an old bat. That's like the same age as a horse. Horses live up to that long too.
Maybe they're related.
I don't think so.
They kind of...
And if you didn't look at the screen, a hammerhead bat has a very creepy, monstrous looking appearance. And it matches some of the descriptions of their early Jersey Devil sightings, like the long horse-like head. However, bat experts say that this bat wouldn't be able to survive the climate in New Jersey. as it's accustomed to a tropical warm climate year-round with a large variety of fruits as their diet. And New Jersey gets cold in the winter.
It do.
So the expert said this bat wouldn't even survive one winter. Another is the sandhill crane. That sounds familiar, doesn't it?
Yes, Mothman?
Yes. So we discussed this animal as a possible explanation to the Mothman legend. And if you remember, we had that phenomenal photo of the crane terrifying a small child riding his bicycle.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that picture?
I'll find it again. And then we will put it on the screen right now.
Let's find it.
Well, yeah, but it's already up there for them.
Okay, so
I'll keep talking. I'll look for it.
So yes, you're about to see a photo of a sandhill crane
wrecking a kid.
Currently
looking at it.
Sorry.
Wrecking a kid.
Just absolutely wrecking him. So this bird is extremely large, and it's about 4 feet tall with a huge wingspan. Of course, a sandhill crane doesn't have a tail and doesn't have a horse-like head, but it is one explanation.
And also, it's Mothman. The sandhill crane is Mothman.
The sandhill crane is he does a lot of jobs.
How sad would it be if I could not find that picture?
I have it on our Instagram.
Okay, you might have to send it to me. Anyway.
So that's another one of the explanations. Another one is like what I said at the beginning. It's just a story of a kid that was born with some sort of a birth defect. And the legend just kind of got passed down. And that kind of coincides with the theory that the Jersey Devil doesn't exist. But
is it this one?
Yes. 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 I love that picture.
So well, now it's up. You're getting a lot of pictures. This is why you gotta follow us on YouTube. You get the
a lot
pictures
of
live as we're talking
You
about
don't get
them.
these pictures of a sandhill crane terrifying a child if you're just listening. Anyways, so the theory is that the Jersey Devil doesn't actually exist, but it's just a local legend that was born out of the locals' fear of the dangers in the Pine Barrens. So, historically, the area of the Pine Barrens was known for being dangerous and had a pretty bad reputation. So the Barrens were known to be full of highway robbers who would attack people who traveled through the area. And the area was also the home to people who were kind of the outcasts of society, like poor people, fugitives, poachers, moonshiners, runaway slaves, and army deserters. So this is an area where there's this very real threat that if you go through it, you might get robbed, you might get attacked. And then we have the place where the people in society that nobody really wants in polite society, they go to hang out there. And
the outcasts.
The outcasts. And the sentiment was only strengthened when a eugenics study was performed in the 20th century on the residents of the Pine Barrens. They called them the Pineys. And the study essentially called them criminals and idiots. Like congenital, they called it congenital morons or something.
Very kind.
Yes. That study was eventually discredited.
That's good.
But that just kind of reflects like the sentiment of the area. Like it's got a bad reputation. It's historically not a very safe place to be around. There's a lot of forested area, 1 million acres, and it's scary. And the Jersey Devil is not the only ghost story or legend associated with the Pine Barrens, as the area is also home to legends such as Captain Kidd the Pirate Ghost, the Ghost of the Black Doctor, the Ghost of the Black Dog, the Ghost of the Golden-Haired Girl, and the White Stag.
I feel like we should just do another episode just on the Pine Barrens.
I feel like we should, because these were all very interesting. And if you guys want us to do that, let us know. And if you're from Jersey or you're from this area and you have other legends that I didn't mention, let us know. But this just goes to show that Jersey Devil is but one of many, many, many urban legends. And law enforcement officers would venture into the Pine Barrens and never return, with their deaths being blamed on the Jersey Devil rather than the people hiding within the area or the fugitives they were trying to track down.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I guess the question is it even biologically possible for the Jersey Devil to exist?
No.
Yes. According to biologists, they say not really. So, based on witness descriptions, in order for the animal's wings to be able to carry it through the air and fly, the wings would have to be a lot bigger in order to accommodate the large body.
So like 8-9 feet?
Yeah, the wings have to be way bigger, and the Jersey Devil would actually have to have a smaller musculoskeletal system. So birds are able to fly because in relation to their wings, their bodies are really light.
Right.
So if the Jersey Devil actually is about 6 feet tall and weighs 200 to 400 pounds, their wings wouldn't be able to hold it in the air.
Unless it's magical.
Unless it's magical.
Like a reindeer.
So, like, if it has these, like, bat wings are, like, very, like, veiny.
They are.
Like, they aren't very sturdy. They're very flimsy. And they're very, like, fragile.
Mm-hmm.
So if this creature has bat-like wings, it's not going to be able to pick up a 200-pound animal.
Yeah, it's true.
Unless it's, like, magic. Like you said.
Yeah.
But whether or not the Jersey Devil is real or not, he has become kind of a symbol for the area, with a few sports teams named after him. And he was named the State Demon in 1938. That is, New Jersey is the only state with a state demon.
I wonder why more states haven't hopped on that.
I don't know. We should...
I know there's the hockey team is the Devils. What other...
I think there's like a baseball team. And I think one of the colleges... Jersey Devils.
Yeah, it's the hockey team.
The hockey team.
That's probably all you're going to find.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So, Ethan, as we wind down, do you think that the Jersey Devil exists?
Nope.
No? Okay, why?
Just feels like a folklore, fairy tale, like urban legend of the area. Like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's no real evidence.
Yeah.
And for this one, it's like there's not even like an explanation for like El Chupacabra. It's probably that one dog. I couldn't remember what it's called. For like Mothman, it's probably multiple different animals and stuff like that. Like for this one, that's just like, I don't know. Could just been maybe in a few of the sightings, it was like a bat or it was a bird or it was a whatever. And then because the Jersey Devil lore already existed, that's what they kind of like saw. Or like, revisionist history. Like we've talked about before, when you're dealing with like some sort of traumatic event or you're scared, like you don't think straight. And so what you think you see isn't always what you see.
Right.
So, no. I don't think it exists.
I don't think it exists either. Yeah. If I'm being honest, I think that there is like, when you have so many sightings, when you have hundreds and hundreds of sightings, like that panic in 1909 where people were not going to school and were not going to work, I think that makes me want to believe that it exists.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, what was it that had these people so terrified? If it didn't exist, what were they seeing that made them think this way?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I just don't think that we have as much evidence for this one as we do for other cryptids.
Yeah.
But I also don't think that we have really this is what people see when they think they see it. But, so I'm not like, no, 100% it doesn't exist. Because I do think that there is something to be said for the hundreds and hundreds of people who have seen it over the years. But at the same time, I'm like, I can't really say, yes, I think it exists,
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what do you guys think? Do you guys think the Jersey Devil exists? Why or why not? If you are from New Jersey, have you seen the Jersey Devil? And if you did, what was your experience like? Because we'd really love to hear about that. So you can let us know in the comments of this video, or you can send us a DM, or leave us a review telling us about your Jersey Devil story. We'd love to hear it. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we will see you guys in 2 weeks.
Bye.
Bye.